The movie's premise is set in the distant future, where the world faces an annual pandemic due to the excessive and unethical use of natural resources, resulting in the deaths of billions. Consequently, humans view life as a curse, as they are susceptible to deadly viruses and can perish at any moment. However, amidst this calamity, a scientist named Pilot emerges as a blessing to humanity. He makes a genetic breakthrough that grants immortality to humans, instilling hope for a life devoid of the fear of death, akin to a fairy tale. Swiftly, he translates this discovery into practical application, and the entire human population becomes eternal beings. The scene transitions to 200 years later, where the system of immortality has undergone a change. Only a select group of individuals residing in a domed city have the opportunity to undergo a process called the freeze, which grants them immortality. Pilot assumes leadership over the city, managing a vast workforce dedicated to maintaining order. Young people are brought into the domed area and personally evaluated by Pilot, who identifies the pinnacle of their lives when they reach their prime and freezes them at that age. While the average age for this is around 25, it can vary for each person. Consequently, the domed city is populated by immortals and those aspiring to become immortal in the future. In this setting, we are introduced to the film's protagonist, Logos, who, alongside numerous excited individuals anticipating their transformation, enters the city. Unlike the others, Logos carries numerous doubts in his heart. He questions whether immortality is truly a gift that humans require, as he believes that death is what gives meaning to life. Without death, life loses its essence and merely becomes an existence. Despite carrying these concerns, Logos proceeds to enter the city, hoping to discover answers. On his second day there, he encounters Tukur, a woman who senses his doubts about immortality and invites him to join a group of like-minded individuals. Sukur hands him a box that is intended to transport him to this group discreetly, without being tracked. Meanwhile, Pilot and his right-hand man, Armaros, observe the surveillance footage and become suspicious upon seeing the box. Pilot instructs Armaros to investigate its contents. In a different location, a tour guide named Aka educates a group of new citizens about the process of freezing. One of the newcomers inquires about a former associate of Pilot's. Aka reveals that this individual was once as intelligent and capable as Pilot, but he protested against the immortality system, resulting in his memories being erased. Currently, nobody knows his whereabouts, although rumors suggest that he devised a program to dismantle the entire system of immortality before vanishing. Armaros approaches Aka and takes her to a virtual meeting with Pilot. Pilot requests Aka to spy on Logos and report back on his activities, offering her a perfect opportunity to demonstrate her abilities as she aspires to be promoted from a guide to a guardian. In a subsequent scene, Ake discovers Logos and Sukur together and discreetly listens in on their conversation. However, Sukur, being astute, suspects they are under surveillance. She engages in ambiguous dialogue with Logos, instructing him to meet her at the church later. Although Ake perceives it as an ordinary friendly conversation, she remains unaware of its true nature. Later on, Pilot is informed of this encounter but refuses to let the matter go. He insists that Aka continues to spy on Logos and compile a detailed report on all of his activities. To accomplish this task, Ake needs to get closer to Logos, so she seizes the opportunity the next time she finds him alone. She initiates a conversation about immortality by commenting on the book he is reading. Logos inquires whether she genuinely believes the things she imparts to her students as their guide, leaving Ake pondering as she realizes she lacks an answer. The subsequent day, Ake assigns a pair of twin sisters to spy on Logos in her absence. The twins, also aspiring for promotion, readily accept the job. Meanwhile, Logos visits the church and meets with Sukur. After ensuring that no one has followed him, he is granted entry. A man named Masim welcomes him and introduces him to a programmer and scientist named Medarin. Each member of the group, including Logos, questions the immortality system and finds Pilot's methods unsatisfactory. The revelation surfaces that individuals are administered a daily dosage of a drug called maintenance to supposedly prepare them for the freezing process. However, the group has discovered that this drug induces submission, suppressing human emotions and instincts. It renders them incapable of experiencing love or hate, leaving them powerless to protest against their dislikes. It appears as though they are being bred to become Pilot slaves. While everyone who takes the maintenance drug is affected in the same way, Logos seems to be immune, allowing him to entertain thoughts beyond the benefits of immortality. Medarin, the scientist, has obtained a diary authored by Pilot's former partner and is in the process of replicating the virus that can overturn the immortality system. The group's main objective is to awaken people to the capacity for happiness and sorrow, motivating them to protest against the system and bring an end to Pilot's reign. In the subsequent scene, Pilot is accompanied by his teenage daughter, Amanda. She questions him about his former partner, disclosing that the partner's name was Helios. Amanda, being the curious girl, possesses numerous inquiries about the system her father governs, questions that ordinary citizens would not be permitted to ask. In a way, she shares similarities with Logos and the others in the group, and Pilot has started to recognize this as well. Logos wakes up in the morning due to a recurring nightmare. In the dream, he finds himself in a desert, clad in a hazmat suit, struggling to breathe, and eventually losing consciousness. Akai, driven by her determination to secure the promotion, is willing to go to any lengths to fulfill the task assigned to her by Pilot. That day, she approaches Logos once again, disguising herself as someone interested in becoming his friend. However, amidst their conversation, she unexpectedly inquires whether he takes the maintenance drugs that prepare individuals for the freezing process. Taken aback by the question, Logos lies and responds affirmatively. After some time, Logos joins the group, which plans to disrupt the administration of maintenance drugs by altering the code. This action aims to expose people to the experience of genuine human emotions. However, to carry out the recoding, they require access to the underground tunnels of the Capitol building. Logos recalls that Eka works at the Capitol and possesses a card that can grant them entry to areas typically inaccessible to the general public. He meets with her and asks whether she takes her maintenance drug. Before she can respond, the twins interrupt their conversation. Armaros approaches Akai, inquiring about Logos' visit. Akai lies, claiming that he merely came to greet her. Logos' question continues to weigh on her mind throughout the day, ultimately prompting her to seek him out. Trusting her, Logos introduces her to the rest of the group, divulging their entire plan and their goal to someone who has been sent to spy on them. Akai is taken aback, but she regains her composure. Despite learning about Pilot's control over them, she fails to grasp the gravity of the situation, partly due to the influence of the daily maintenance drug she consumes. Akai becomes even more astonished when the group asks for her assistance with their plan. Given some time to contemplate, she seizes the opportunity to divulge everything she has discovered to Armaros. Surprisingly, he remains composed upon hearing about the rebel group's intent to overthrow his boss's rule. Armaros requests that Akai return to the group and agree to help them. Though she harbors fears of being caught, she places her trust in Armaros to extricate her from any precarious situations. In the meantime, Pilot engages in conversation with Amanda once again. She probes him about the experience of losing her mother. Pilot grows weary of her recurring questions, but admits that it was devastating. He further reveals that there was a time when Amanda was on the brink of death, and he believed his life was ending along with hers. This circumstance drove him and Helios to diligently develop the genetic coding method. However, Pilot claims that Helios became envious of him receiving all the credit, causing a rift in their friendship. After hearing his account, Amanda points out that the final part of the story changes each time he recounts it. Subsequently, Akai approaches the rebel group, offering her assistance. They devise an intricate plan, assigning specific tasks to each member before executing it. However, as they infiltrate the building and approach the tunnel, an alarm is triggered. Unbeknownst to the group, this is part of Akai and Armaros' scheme to isolate Logos from the rest and apprehend him. The plan succeeds, and Logos is ultimately captured and taken to the medical room. The medical practitioners proceed to perform a memory wipe on Logos, resulting in him forgetting everything. Akai experiences immense guilt for her actions towards Logos. Upon learning about his memory being erased, she insists on meeting him. But Pilot cautions her to only carry out assigned tasks and warns that her presence may trigger memories in Logos. Akai is distraught for several hours until the twins inform her that they saw Logos earlier. Akai rushes to meet him, but he fails to recognize her. Additionally, he has been administered a higher dosage of the maintenance drug, which has transformed him into an immortal devoid of pain or happiness. In Akai's perception, he is akin to a living dead rather than an immortal. It is revealed that Akai, too, has ceased taking her maintenance drug since the day she learned about Pilot's true intentions. She finally comprehends the magnitude of her mistake and hurries to meet the rest of the group. Akai weeps, offers her apologies, and pleads for forgiveness. But the group no longer trusts her. She proceeds to inform them about Logos and how he has been transformed into a memoryless robot. After repeatedly assuring them that she has recognized the truth, the group reluctantly accepts her back as a teammate. In the subsequent scene, they successfully abduct Logos from the mental facility where he was held captive. They commence the process of restoring his memories. while Pilot learns about the disappearance and discovers Aka's involvement, placing blame on Armeros for not exercising enough caution in his employment choices. Elsewhere, after conversing with Aka for several hours, Logos begins to recollect fragments of his past. Though he still has much to remember, he grasps the purpose of the group and is overjoyed to rejoin them. In the subsequent scene, the group proceeds with their plan to hack and reprogram the maintenance system. As Akai is no longer a member of the capital, she seeks assistance from the twins. Their collaboration proves successful, granting them access to the underground facility. They effectively change and override the program. Meanwhile, the group discovers fortuitously that they have come across diffusers capable of reverting immortals back to mortals. The scene transitions to the entire group fleeing the city and seeking refuge amidst the mountains, where they construct tents. Suddenly, Logos experiences a moment of realization and employs the diffuser on himself in a desperate attempt to regain the ability to feel emotions. He subsequently collapses, causing alarm among the group. The group's doctor provides assistance, and Logos regains consciousness after a few hours. Akai, who was deeply concerned for him, finally admits her growing affection for him. In turn, Logos confesses his mutual feelings. In the following scene, the group uncovers Pilot's plan to launch a new program aimed at further solidifying his control over humanity. His intention is to deliver a live message to the people, but the group successfully hacks the system, resulting in Logos appearing on the screen instead. Logos proceeds to expose Pilot's unethical methods of control, urging the audience to think independently and promising them a clear understanding of the truth. The people become stirred up upon hearing his impassioned speech. Armeros advises Pilot to take immediate action against the group, but Pilot remains unflappable, confident that his system is impenetrable and the general public is powerless. In a surprising turn of events, Akai enters the scene with the diffuser and transforms herself into a mortal. Finally, Amanda reveals a twist. Prior to his death, Helios had stored his cerebral data, encompassing his emotions, thoughts, and ideologies, in a hard drive that has been downloaded into her brain. In essence, she is Helios. In the concluding scene, Akai narrates with hope that Amanda, being the key to restoring humans to their natural state, will soon establish contact with the group.